This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. And it reads, Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So the Lord, just like a man wants a woman in her prime, in her youth. Even women want men in their youth. That's why you got cougars. But the Lord wants you to come pretty much serve him in your youth. That's ultimately, like the Matrix. When you wake up to it, that's ultimately the will of the Lord. But ultimately, the Lord wants you while you're a young man. It says, Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Don't wait till after when you catch an holy hell. I remember I used to be locked up, and I remember seeing this Jake, and when Jake get in trouble, that's when they want to call and bend that knee. But then as soon as they got out, and I witnessed it, it was a Jake that I was in the workhouse, and this Jake, we used to have conversations about scriptures and all this different stuff. And when I saw him, when we got out of there, he was a whole dude, or he was that old man, Yeah. So, yeah. Scriptures talk about how you're going to have people that's going to be calling on the Lord and that day, and the Lord going to say, I never knew thee. Verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, while this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is still available. Because it's prophesied in the scriptures of there being a famine of hearing the word of the Lord. Nor the clouds return after the rain in the day when the keepers or these economists, these watchers, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And the grinders represent the jobs. And, this article goes into that because, this whole mantra that Trump, make America great shit again, but yet and still it's a number of articles I could bring out that I've saved that pretty much say how all these economists are saying pretty much his strategies is not going to make America great. But to show you how powerful the witchcraft and sorcery is, you got people that's literally not opposing him, and he's still getting this shit off. You got stupid ass niggas that think because it's DJ Trump and because he's supposed to represent somebody successful and wealthy in their mind that pretty much they gonna just follow him wherever he go. Like the elder said, just sheep, whatever they say go, And I made the statement, because it's already in the scriptures, but pretty much you gonna have people trusting in Esau, Edom all the way, basically, even up into the point when they walk into the internment camps because they thinking that it's gonna be peace and safety, which we know that 2nd Ezra chapter 16 tells you what's in store for those people. Again, strong delusion. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Those economists are looking out the windows and they see no future for this place. I just seen a brother title a video talking about stick a fork in her shit. It be done, and it is, No matter how you try to sugarcoat it or try to that's the thing with a lot of people. They don't want to accept reality. That's a trait of a woman. I remember when I was homeless, and my demon used to ask me, do I think we getting off the street? And I know what she wanted. She wanted words of comfort. She wanted to hear lie to her. That's in the movies. Men do that anyway. That's the nature of a man. As far as, because you never should let a woman know too much. That's why, we got examples of that in the scriptures with Samson. But I would tell her the truth. Like, I've lied before. We've all have. I'm not no angel perfect, man. I go off like everybody else, but, it's just to the point. I learned a long time ago it's harder to keep a lie going than it is. I mean, either you're gonna accept the truth or you're not. You got Jake sitting there trying to juggle 13 women when, like a guy like Cameron, and I'm just using a nigga for an example, but he like to the point what I'm gonna lie to you about. Like a guy like Usher, certain men like, you gonna bend to my standard. Either you're gonna be with this or you're not. And if you is, okay, cool. But if you're not, well then okay, you know. Verse 4. And the door shall be shut in the streets as far as these jobs when the sound of the grind is low, because it's going to be very few. And he shall rise up with the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So he that rises up with the voice of the bird is those that get up early. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low. The music, we know, is terrible. It's very few. Shit, I was hearing it. I come to find out, as a guy, what's his name? Nicholas Hustles. He got a song to my I feel like slapping a nigga today. Come to find out, that's supposed to be AI. So the funniest part is the AI is making better music than these actual actual people. That's how you know they bitch over with. So, with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Elohim like Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem. Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, subscribing to this truth to you. I say shalom. It's the brother Yahweh Sop, coming at you another lesson through the spirit and through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahshua. This lesson is inspired by an article that just popped up. I was going to do it on something else, but this popped up and I was like, well, Spirit led me to jump on this because it's just another indicator that it's over with. I'm going to read probably like the first, I'm going to read these four paragraphs, Lord willingly, real quick. Layoffs of U.S. workers were nearly 50% higher in May than they were a year ago. So, if anything, he ain't making America great. It says, with reductions attributed to Department of Government Efficiency. And to show you how, hilarious the Lord is and how he got a real sense of humor, he brought them two individuals together, and now they infighting. And at first, I was thinking, well, maybe Elon Musk is trying to distance himself because he had took all that, he took all that, the people's anger because, he was the head of the Department of Efficiency. But now, I mean, shit, they say Elon Musk just said that they didn't leak the Epstein files because Trump's name is in there, which we all know he got pictures with him, So, what's new? It says remaining the leading reason for job cuts. No, that's the division that the Lord's bringing. These people ain't even standing together. The Lord using their tactic on them. Remaining the leading reason for job cuts this year, according to a new report. Global outplacement challenger Gray and Christmas on Thursday released a report that said there were 93,816 jobs cut across Slovakia, announced by U.S. employers in May. That amounts to an increase of 47% from 63,816 announced last May. That ain't really 50%, is it? While last month's figures was down 12% from 105,444 cuts in April. That brings the total number of jobs cut announced this year is 696,309, an increase of 80% from the 385,859 jobs cut in the first 5 months of 2024. So it's up 80%. This year's total is just 65,049 jobs cut away from matching the 2024 annual total. So we only halfway through the year, and they pretty much talking about we already reached the total amount of jobs cut for the last year. And the thing is, it's going to be more job cuts. This is just the beginning. Bear with me for a second. It says tariffs, funding cuts, consumer spending, and overall and overall pessimism are putting intense pressures on companies' workforces. Companies are spending less, slowing hiring, and sending layoff notices, said Andrew Challenger, Senior Vice President of Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. I just spoke on Elon Musk. The impact of DOGE was the leading reason for job cuts announcements in 2025, as it has been cited in 284,044 planned layoffs throughout the first 5 months of 2025. So the point of it is they already up 50%. And I remember the brother said, him and another brother researched, pretty much it's not, but like, out of 300 million people, what is it, like 75 million are actually working. If that's the total population of Babylon the Great, which that can't be because everybody's not counted. Well, like they said, they got illegals and whatnot. But at the end of the day, so it's well more than that. But at the same time, that's a significant number. And again, it's about to be less people working. Period. You know, I was thinking about it. The Lord put me in the industry, and the funny part is, He gave me an opportunity to look at like 2 other jobs. But it doesn't matter what industry you go to because all the economies are pretty much inter. I mean, all the jobs are interconnected with the economy. You know, pretty much. It's certain jobs that won't see or be affected like that immediately. Because it's certain things that's got to be. If you got a car, you're gonna pay that arm and that leg for that parts or to have the labor to get it fixed. I mean, certain things. But at the same time, if a person can't afford to pay it, then the person that can fix it or sell the part, it don't matter if you got the part because if can't nobody afford it, oh it. So it's the book of Isaiah chapter 19. I'm gonna start it because Elon Musk and your boy DJ pretty much initiated all this. They say it was all based on Doge. And we know Elon is the Doge. This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, which we believe is DJ Trump, king of Babylon. And a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Lord of hosts. He's fierce. Think about his policies. Look at how he's aggressively pursuing those migrants. And to the point where you got actual citizens getting caught up in it. And the thing is, they talking about they making legislation possible where they're not going to be pretty much brought to court if you get caught up in it. You know what I mean? If you get caught up, you could be an American citizen, but if you get caught up in one of those raids and you get deported or whatever, they talk about like being trying to basically make a law where they're immune to it. So yeah, this shit get real serious. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. The Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. This place is upside down. This place calls good evil and evil good. This place is spiritually drunk. And that's why you got people that, like I said again, really didn't look at the fact of, the Biden administration allowed this to happen, and Trump's administration is basically going after him. So how is it really these people's fault? You brought people here. They brought all those Haitians here, and I hear pretty much they had temporary status, but now they revoked their status, so they got to leave in August. That snake. He's so much of a snake, he even bit Elon. Because at first I thought it was theater, but no, they look like they really beefing. Lord Code. Verse 15, appoint neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which Babylon the Great, aka America's no modern day Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush, may do, and that's the point. And especially with the fact that people about to lose their jobs. These people, those that don't trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, is gonna pretty much, succumb to being weak and run to Esau Edom for help. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, weak. These Egyptians, these Babylonians, these Edomites, Idumeans, these modern day Babylonians from, the Gentile Israelites that don't know that or don't want to return back to Israel, to the heathen, they all weak. In the day In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua of hosts, which he shake up over it. And the Lord is shaking over it now, by calling this place out, by chanting this place down through his men, the mouthpiece of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So, again, a lot of people really are gonna be uncertain in that dark place. What do you call it on Get Out? The sunken place. That's deep, ain't it? This is a heavy spirit of depression here. Welcome to my world. What he say again? I've been thinking about that for the last couple of days. Batman said, yeah, now you can, he said, I'm afraid of bats. He said, now they can feel my dread. Go look up the word dread. I mean, when you really sit back and meditate on the conditions that the Lord created, the only way you're going to be able to withstand and actually make it through this is with divine intervention. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 5. And mainly this is set up, Jacob's trouble to get at Israel. These so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua power. This is Jerusalem. I have set in the midst of the nations and countries that are around about her. And she have changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are around about her. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes, they have not walked in them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, because ye multiply more than the nations that are round about you, just around wax, fat, and kick, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua power, behold, even I am against thee, and will execute judgment in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations. And that's going to be your Jacob's trouble. I'm going to skip down because I only got a couple more minutes. This is the Ezekiel chapter 5 and 16. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. And brothers going into staff being a support system. Well, a lot of Jake's support system was, Esau Edom, his government, Revelations 12 and 12. The woman being pretty much taken care of by the dragon for a time, Well, the Lord breaking, the government is pretty much letting people fend for themselves. And unless you loyal, I mean, I received certain things from the government. Pretty much they changed, like you gotta always let them in your business to receive anything from them, but not, they asking is you a U.S. citizen and asking all kind of shit. This shit get real. Call lawyer like, yeah, how much you got? And again, I pray the Lord break the staff of bread. Because at the end of the day, the scriptures say, man does not live on bread alone. What's going to actually sustain you in the times of trouble is going to be the word. I went an extremely long time without eating. So I know it's possible, through faith, literally to actually, I believe that the Lord's elect are going to be all right. I wholeheartedly believe that. Verse 17, so will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee, which is Esau Edom. I, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, have spoken it. So not only, I went to Walmart, they got everything cased off as far as soap, detergent, shit that people need, and I was just thinking, I told the account before, I spoke on it before because it really pissed me off, but then the elder said something through the spirit and it calmed me down because I was really bewildered. But then why should you be bewildered? These people aren't in the same, we're not in the same spirit as these people. And that's why they'll get offended or angry. Like I was speaking on, motherfucker don't want to hear that society's ending literally and they just got a job or just bought a house or whatnot. You got people buying houses and shit now, having babies. Nobody want to, anybody that love this place is not going to pretty much feel like that. You know, I read Daily Breads, and you know, you spit out the bone. You know, you eat the meat and spit out the bone. But it was one yesterday, and it was talking about how love. Damn, because I was gonna do a video on it, and I can't think of how it was phrased. To It's like what a hurtful thing to have loved and then lost. Roughly paraphrased. So at the end of the day, these people that's in love with Babylon the Great and the system and the way this shit work, yeah, they gonna fight tooth and nail to hold on to it. While we don't even love our lives onto the death, you know, because we understand how wicked this place is, and on top of it, we understand how much more wickedness is about to come into fruition. I hear a lot of brothers doing the videos about how AI is a demon. Yeah, because pretty much, remember years ago they was talking about the how they could pretty much I forgot what it's called, but how they could pretty much just change your video and make it seem like you said something that you didn't. But I forgot what I had read. They was like it's a demonic spirit behind AI. I could believe that because I read it before years prior. You know, you know. So ultimately, like I said again, you gonna have to be completely locked in. The scripture tell you that the Lord's servant is gonna eat. It's so many scriptures that go into the Lord is gonna take care of his elect. He is. I'm gonna end this with because we all gonna like miss a meal. We all gonna lose these jobs. If you thinking that you just gonna weather the storm, I last year when I left the camp, pretty much I had silver. I had obtained and held on to silver for like 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just I'm holding on to feed me and my household. I really believe in the truth, and I really love brothers. Maybe I didn't show it properly all the time, but so it wasn't my silver. It was looking at when because all Jake ain't looking at it like that. Certain Jake's just like I trust in the Lord. You got certain like I never really got into making the fires because my spirit wasn't into that. I might not be in the wilderness. I might be in a internment camp. Lord willing, I'm not. But you don't know what the Lord has set up for you. But just like you got brothers in the spirit of learning how to make fires and do all this other stuff, and the fish and the clean, water and all that, you got brothers that was accumulating certain things for when the economy crashed. But at the same time, none of it really mattered because no man knows the Lord's will for yourself first and foremost. Best believe whatever you got accumulated, if you not of the Lord's elect, you know, you look at the book of Eli, perfect example. Book of Eli is pretty much he had his only possession. He had things to barter. He was able to barter and whatnot, but his only real possession was the Bible. Just like that movie platform, which is deep. So yeah, I mean, the more and more the Lord keep visiting this place and taking away shit, the more and more he gonna rouse up these spirits, and you about to see a lot of motherfucking judgment. So walk circumspectly, you know what I mean? If you ain't necessarily got to be out there, like the elders always used to say, after camps and after participating in the Passover and whatnot, you supposed to skedaddle, you supposed to get up out of there, You don't want to be lingering, and tarrying. You want to, because, I remember Jake that the Lord brought home, that the one that actually introduced, I ain't gonna say he introduced me to the truth, but he, kind of introduced me to the camp in Cleveland. He didn't he introduced me to the camp in Cleveland. He told me where they was at. He never brought me down there and showed me. He brought some other brothers down there. That's why I believe he's a man of the Lord, because he gathered certain brothers and they all went, basically end up going into the camp. But he would say how he'd be out there preaching and then he would move, and I guess he was homeless at the time too, and he would look and there'd be people that just pull up where he was just at. And he was like, that was the spirits on them people. They just be lingering where he was just at. So saying that to say this, it's gonna be a lot of highly, You know, again, like I said, I made the statement about that situation with the Pope, you know, and that ritual, you know. So don't be surprised when you see the demonic activity turn up. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to turn back, repent, and beg the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, to forgive you, because you know that's the only thing that's gonna be able to deliver you from these coming in wicked days. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to God, Lord, by Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem. Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua to the listen and learning. Lord willingly, this was edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations. Subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly. Shalom, shalom. Kwame Asharala and Waslababal.